is a difference between expectations and realities. And today we're going to be, talking and debunking a lot of expectations. And I would like to call them more than fantasy than anything else, because let's be real. A lot of people fantasize with an SHTF and how it's going to be and how they believe it's going to be, handled. And the reality is very, very different. Let's take, for example, an instant escape. The expectation is that you're going to just have a smooth, ride. Everything is calm. You're able to grab your go bag and throw it in the back of your truck. Family all together. The routes are clear. And you make it to your bug out location. The reality is that you're going to have to be dealing with gridlocks, panics.
What the fuck are we supposed to do? Where's the real pretty shit now, man?
If you are bugging out from the city, expect those highways to be packed to the crimp. I mean, you're going to be talking about hours upon hours in traffic lines. And there is nothing you can do about it. And now, here's the thing. Folks will say, well, we do it all the time. You do it all the time when there's not an SHTF happening. During a hurricane, if you live in those areas that you have to evacuate due to the hurricane, aka the Florida Keys that evacuates several times a year, or pretty much every time that there is a little storm coming in, because, water goes over everywhere and they have to evacuate. Well, bumper to bumper. And those people are used to doing it. But when there is something major, now you have people freaking out because they forgot to get their cat, they forgot to get their dog, they forgot their medicine, they don't have enough gas in their car, they don't have enough food, the kids are screaming in the back, grandma is complaining about her doctor's appointment. It is chaotic. The expectation is that people believe that if you are careful, how do you stockpile food and whatnot? Well, those provisions will last you forever, and they will provide safety and security. The reality is that people believe that rats cannot get into let's say a 5-gallon bucket, the plastic ones. And the reality is that rats chew through damn copper wire. Yeah, they do. They chew through everything. What makes you think that a hungry rat is not going to chew through your bucket of rice and start eating that rice? I mean, the idea of, oh, I have that in there and that is enough and it's going to last me a lifetime, because, a bag of rice, it lasts me 20 years in a Mylar bag, and we put that Mylar bag inside a food grade bucket, because it have to be food grade bucket. Although it's not touching anything because it's inside a Mylar, but we got to use a food grade bucket. The reality is that it takes a lot more than just food grade bucket, more than Mylar bags, more than throwing pellets of food for those rats. It takes a lot more. Community support.
Don't worry. Me and my squad of ultimate badasses will protect you.
This is a good one. The expectation is the idea of all your neighbors coming together and friends over the government, because you're going to band together and help throughout a disaster. To an extent, we saw community coming together and help those in need when the hurricane happened. The reality is,
Think of what? We're fucked! Shut up! Dude, shut up!
your neighbor cannot stand you. Your neighbor most likely will not even come to your aid if you have a flat tire. In fact, most likely, you don't even know your neighbor's name. The fact of the matter is, because we have so many conveniences, we can go to the store and buy all the groceries that we need. We don't need to raise animals because we have it right there. I mean, they come packaged already. When was the last time that you twist the neck of a chicken? When was the last time that you pluck a chicken, that you reach inside and rip everything out? When was the last time? I know people that have never done that before. Ever. Because they go to the store and they get the chicken. So people don't really need community, to tell you the truth. So the expectation that the neighbors and friends are going to come together and when there's need is not realistic. The true reality is that most likely you don't know your neighbor, and if you don't know your neighbor, you have criticized that neighbor from here to the moon because you probably don't agree with that neighbor's life choices. And let's face it, we see more criticism than anything else because, you know, if they don't do it our way, they're doing it wrong. If they don't believe in what we are believing, they're doing it wrong. You think that's community? It is not. This is a good one. Self-reliance. You know, the expectation is that many people believe that they're going to go into the wilderness and get that tool that they never use. But take that shot 600-800 yards away. Hit the target with precision like a sharpshooter from the movies. And of course, they're going to harvest the animal, carry them on their shoulders as they get home and throw it on the table and say, honey, I have provided food. Let me tell you something. The reality is way, way, way different. First of all, a shot 600, 800 yards away is hard as fuck. That's first of all. Getting close to an animal, stalking the animal, it is hard as heck. You got to take in consideration terrain. You got to take in consideration the wind, the light, the time, everything. And you need to get close. You really need to get close. Do you know that you actually need a lot of practice to make those long distance shots? Do you know that? Do you know that most people don't even make those shots? Hunters stick within 100 to 300 yards. That is it. That is it. At least all the hunters that I know. You may know exceptional people, you know, because you are exceptional. You are, you know, what we expect to be. Me, regular Joe Schmo, I only know people who shoot between 100 and 300. And then if they can shoot closer, they're going to do it. They're definitely going to do it. And let me tell you something. The whole idea of getting that deer and throw it in the back of your neck and just walking up miles upon miles, that is, let me put it like this. Have you ever gotten a condom and fill it up with water? Just get one and put a 5-gallon bucket of water inside. They will hold it. Grab it. There you go. A dead deer on you is like shaking everywhere. Yeah. Especially if you gut it. Now you have all that blood on you. And it smells so good. But no. Hey, no, you can, hey, go for it, man. Go for it. Go for it. Of course, don't worry about wild animals, you know, smelling that blood and coming and taking a bite out of you, you know, because you're Rambo. Who cares, right? I mean, when you get home, you're going to throw that on the table, and your wife is going to be, oh, I love you so much. You have provided for your family. Now your wife is going to slap you and say, you stupid asshole. You just got the house full of blood after I cleaned the damn house, and now you have blood all over my damn table. You're an idiot. Go outside, clean that shit up, and when it's done, call me so I can go help you pack it up. That's reality right there. Here's another one of my favorites. This is you know, for everyone who's a gun fanatic. I have a gun. I'm a badass. You know, the expectation is that the moment that you own a gun, you became Rambo. You know, you're gonna pull that weapon and, you know, just, you know, like John Wick. That's it. That's who you are. That's the expectation. The reality is that you have to spend hours upon hours in the range. Hundreds of dollars you're going to have to invest in ammunition. And let me tell you something. There's always going to be somebody better than you. So when you go to the range and you start shooting and you see somebody next to you, because that person has spent more time in the range and more money in ammunition and probably has a better weapon than you, shoots a lot better than you, or you're going to be like, you're going to find an excuse because what you're doing is wrong and you don't want to admit that. But the expectation is, I mean, you own your Glock. You are a Glock dude or a 1911 dude. And my golly, you are it. You are Young Wick. In person, right there. There you are. Because you have it. Because you have an AR-15. That's it. You are proficient. You never go to the range. But you are it. The expectation is like fantasy. And the reality is, in a SHTF or shit hit the fan, or if somebody breaks into your house, if you don't have enough practice, you ain't gonna know what to do. You might as well just grab your wallet and get that wallet to whoever's stealing from you and say, please take it and leave my house. Because most likely, you will cause more harm than good. Because you don't have any practice. Because, well, let's just face it, you live in a fantasy world. Here's one that I always have a problem with, and that is the myth of a quick recovery. The expectation or the fantasy of that is that a crisis is going to end quick, in a matter of days, maybe weeks, and society is going to rebound back, be how we used to. Let me give you a very 6-decade example. 90 miles away from the Florida Key is a island in the Caribbean known as Cuba. People thought that Castro was not gonna be there forever. People thought that regime was just gonna go away because it's not gonna last. 60 years later, Fidel Castro died already, but the regime still there. So if you think that crisis is just gonna go away and you're gonna go back to normal, I want you to think what happened during, well, let's just put it like this. Are you still dealing with policies, procedures, and auto bullshit from what happened when you didn't want to get that thing? Do you remember that pamper era that here in the US and in the whole world everybody had to deal with? Do you remember the discrimination that you suffer? That you suffer because you refuse to put that in your body. Do you remember that? Do you think that we have recovered from that? I don't think so. So that expectation of a quick recovery, no, ain't gonna be there. Shit is gonna be lingering for a very long time. A very, very long time. Here's one for all of those of you who believe that, you have to solely rely on technology.
Independently targeting particle beam phalanx. We got tactical smart missiles, phase plasma pulse rifles, RPX, all breakers.
Because, unless you have the most fancy gadget, unless you have those night vision, unless you have those systems in place for security and whatnot, you're not going to make it. Here is my take on that and the reality of it. Take power away. There goes your security system. There goes your ability to recharge those high power scopes with night vision, because if you don't have power, that's it, you're done. The reality is, and this is something that I really need people to start, moving away from really high-tech things, because there's a lot of folks who truly believe that unless you have the latest and greatest, and you have the night vision, and you have, you know, just the ultimate of everything, you're not gonna make it. That is not the truth. It is not the truth. I encourage you to help yourself with good items, good things, you know, so they can last longer, because, you know, quality does play a role. But the overconfidence on high technology can bite you in the ass like there's no tomorrow. A good rifle with a good iron sight would trump any day, any rifle with a scope. There's just simple tools, and the simpler the tool, the longer it's gonna last, and the more beating it's gonna take. You get what I'm saying? What do you think is gonna break faster, an axe or a chainsaw? Tell me. There you go. There is your answer. The last one that I want to talk about is the expectation of mental fortitude. The expectation is that people are just going to be calm, rational. They're going to think through problems. They're going to come up with great solutions to the problem. And the reality is very, very different. The moment that there is a crisis, you're going to see chaos in people's minds. People are not used to making life or death decisions. People have passed on that decision making to others. That's why we are in the position that we are right now, because the government had taken over all the decisions that we were responsible to make. So you're going to see anxiety up here. I mean, talking about people without medication. We talked about this in previous videos. We are heavily medicated when it comes to mental health. People are highly, highly emotional.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
People don't know how to balance life, reality, and, you know, just bad things happening. They just don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to balance it. They don't know it. Let's put it like this. If you take people's ability to put a post on Facebook, they will go crazy. What do you think is going to happen if you remove power, and now you have all those kids screaming in your ear because they don't know what to do with themselves? Then you have your significant other next to you blaming you for what is happening. It's not your fault, but they're blaming you. And they're asking you, do something, do something. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm doing the best I can. Now all of that is in your head. What do you think is going to happen? You will have a mental breakdown. Plain and simple. And on top of that, the pharmacies are closed and you ain't got no medication. Bam. You tell me if that is not a recipe for disaster. Those are things that you will see during an SHTF. The other stuff, those are expectations based on nothing more than hope. That's it. Plain and simple. You need to prepare as best as you can, because that hope and that expectation, I guarantee you 110% ain't gonna happen. You will see the bad. You will see the grim. You will gonna have to man up to face these green realities that are most likely, well, let's just put it like this. If you don't have a strong mental fortitude, you just ain't gonna make it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like always, rock on, prep on, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.